Hey everyone, it's Braulio Rosa with the Broward County Bar Association's Broward Bar Buzz, and it's my honor and privilege today to have a legal legend, not only in Broward but throughout the state. Bill Scheer's here with us today, and one of his senior partners, Steve Osber, and we are celebrating Bill's 50th anniversary as a lawyer. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's get right into it, Bill. Let's learn a little bit about you personally, and then we can go deeper as we go along here. Tell us where you were born, raised.
Terre Haute, Indiana. I went to IU Law School and came to Fort Lauderdale and Miami right out of law school, and have been here ever since.
Why'd you pick Miami?
Because I had a dean of the law school who was sort of my advisor, who told me, and he was a very well-known trial lawyer in Chicago before he became a professor, and he was evidence and civil procedure trial practice. And he said, you know, if I had my life to do over again, I'd go to South Florida. I'd go to Miami. There's more opportunity down there. And that's what I would have done. You ought to think about going down there and taking a clerkship for a federal judge who likes Indiana lawyers. And it's good for the school, it'll be good for you. I'd like you to consider going to South Florida.
That's not the story you told me. You told me that you were sick and tired of driving a tractor.
Well, that part's true, because, you know, my partner, Osber over here, and I try these cases together, and I brought him here so he can keep me on the straight. So after I got off the tractor, I came here to South Florida and started clerking for this federal judge down in Miami, as he called it, Chief Judge Charles B. Fulton. And, you know, I intended to get my ticket punched as by that federal clerkship experience, and then go back home and practice in Indianapolis, where I wanted to practice and, you know, where I knew my way around. And of course, you know, it took me about 2 days to get sand in my shoes.
What motivated you to become a lawyer, though?
Yeah, you know, my family always used to say that Billy's a good talker. And I was always, if somebody in the family wanted to argue about something, I could discuss it or argue it. So they ought to say, Billy, you ought to be a lawyer. And of course, when I'm from Southern Indiana, they'd say, Billy Bob, you ought to be a lawyer, because I'm William Robert. And of course, I lost to Billy Bob when I got here.
Absolutely. So what law firm did you first start working at?
Pretty much this one.
This one?
Yeah, the one I'm in now.
The one you're in now?
We've got.
You weren't a partner then?
Well, we've got. Yeah, I was.
Really?
Sort of. I was a junior partner. I came out of that clerkship, and I wanted to be a partner in a little small law firm, and this firm was not a small law firm, but kind of went out on my own for about 4 or 5 months, and they offered me to be a partner, which doesn't mean anything. It does if you're not one. But after you become one, you realize it doesn't really mean anything. And so I joined that firm, which is now this firm. And we have the same tax ID number that we've had for 50 years.
Who was was it Conrad that was the managing partner then?
No. It was a firm called Druck, Gourmet, Norman, Weaver, and Scherer when I joined it. And a few years later, Rex Conrad was, in my view, one of the best lawyers we've ever had here. And he was a major name in South Florida and a terrific lawyer. And he was with a firm that was an old line commercial firm called Fleming, O'Brien and Fleming. And I enticed Rex to join me and put his name first, and he and I were great partners until he retired. We were great friends until he died. And in my mind, he's still the best lawyer that I've ever been around or ever practiced with. You know, Osber is coming in second here. But
Not too shabby?
no, he's not too shabby. Rex and I tried a couple of cases together, and we couldn't live together. Matter of fact, we built a building and we were on separate floors. Steve and I are on the same floor. He's on one corner and I'm on the other because we can try cases together. Matter of fact, I'm not going to try any more big cases without him. Pretty simple.
Steve, what would you say, what have you learned from working with Bill?
I'll tell you something. You know, one thing that a lot of people don't understand is what needs to occur outside of the box of litigation in order to be successful, which includes understanding the mechanics of how judges think and what they're looking for and what they prefer, and considering that what they need to do to make a decision and try to make their job as easy as possible. There's a lot of, I don't want to call it politics, but I guess networking is a better word, where you develop a familiarity with the judges and let them have a familiarity with you, and it gives you street credibility. And with all of the attorneys in this community and all the attorneys that come into this community, it's important for the judges to know who you are, not because you got them elected or because you donated to their campaigns, but because they can look at you and understand that what's coming out of your mouth is 100% the truth, whether it's in your favor or if it's against you. You're telling them, you're being candid with them, and judges really appreciate that. If there's something that's ruling that's against your position, you disclose it. And then when you tell them something, they don't have to research it. They know, okay, I believe you.
And when you've done that for 50 years, you get a little street cred. And, you know, I don't want people to know that I've been doing this for 50 years because
I thought you said you were a 50-year-old attorney.
yeah, I'm a 50-year-old attorney. And I'm not a 50-year practitioner you can do the math. It's like, you know, when I got to sit with Chris Searcy and Jack Scarola, because we're all in the same class at that bar thing where they recognized us, and we were laughing like, do you remember when we were young and we'd go to these bar functions and these guys would get their 50-year pins and we'd go like, who the hell would want to go with them? They're too old. And we were laughing, and you know, I'm privileged to be in that bar class with those guys because those are two really fine lawyers, of course, up in Palm Beach and do practice down here. So there's not a lot of us left. So I come home, I am in trial in a non-jury case in Miami, in a commercial case. I'm riding the train, which is pretty cool, by the way, rather than have to drive back and forth. I had never done that before. And I'm tired, and I come home, and on the bureau by the door is a full-page letter from the Florida bar, all single spaced, and I look at that and I go, oh my God, what now? And my wife says, no, it's good. They want to honor you for being a lawyer for 50 years. I said, I don't want to be honored. Send it back.
You know, you think about a lawyer practicing 50 years.
Goodness.
And you think about the fact that 50 years ago, there was no computers. There's no photocopiers. There's no fax machines. There's no those little ubiquitous yellow stickies that everybody uses.
Well, I didn't even think about that one.
I mean, paper clips were just barely in existence. Yeah. Practicing law was mostly verbal and handshake and your word, and it was a different type of advocacy. And, you know, Bill and I have talked about 50 years of law, and it's not just about some of the landmark cases that have occurred over the past 50 years. I mean, for me, it starts with, you know, Fabre versus Marin, and negligence cases, comparative fault, Nash versus Wells Fargo, and then the evolution of punitive damages and that type of stuff. But even before that, I mean, you barely had the click pen. I mean, you had a hand pencil sharpener. You carried a briefcase, and then you had a ditto machine. And then all of these developments that have occurred over the past 50 years in the practice of law, where now there's no way that we'd be able to practice without the technology that we have. And then with COVID, and you have Zoom, and you have Zoom appearances, and
Yeah, but you know what? There's going to be more dramatic changes come in the next 50 years than we've seen and I've seen in the past 50 years. And I'm anxious to see how my next 50 years is going to be.
Me too.
me
Yeah.
too.
So there's a great lawyer, Ray Ferrero, who was the president of the ABA. He was president of the Florida Bar. He ultimately was the president and chancellor of NOVA.
President here, the Broward County Bar.
President of the Broward County Bar, and a great lawyer and a great friend. And Ray and Wilt and I tried a case. Wilt and Strickland was his partner then, and Ray, and I was on the other side. And I had read in the ABA journal about a couple of lawyers that were trying a case on opposite sides, and they were good friends, kind of like Steve and I, if we ever had cases on the opposite side of each other when he was in the other law firm. And they agreed with each other that if either one of them objected, they would ask the judge to, before the trial started, to automatically sustain the objection. So I went up to, because Ferrero and Strickland were so friendly. They were friends and so honorable. I was showing them that article. I said, let's do this. And they go, I don't know about that. So I said, let's do. So we tell the judge, I don't remember who the judge was, maybe Judge Moriarty, can't remember. Might have been Otis Farrington, for goodness sakes. And so we tried that case, and there was one objection where I was getting a little carried away. They objected, and the judge sustained the objection. Now, we tried that case with that stipulation. Now, children, don't do that again. I wouldn't, until you've practiced for about 40 years, don't try that at home. But that's something
good
that
one.
was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I reminded Ray of that the other day when I saw him. That had to be 30 plus years ago.
Just talked to Ray the other day. Actually, we're at our past president's lunch, and he wasn't able to make it. We got him on the phone. Times have changed, right? And he's talking to us, on the phone, picture, with this video and everything.
So my house I live in, I bought from Ray.
Really?
I lived across the street next to Jack Spellacy, who was a Spellacy and McFan, a plaintiff's lawyer. And the house across the street became for sale. And I told Ray about it, and he bought it. And then 20 some years later, I bought the house from he and Raquel. That's where I'm living today.
Small world.
Yeah. But anyway, Ray was a great lawyer, and I guess still is. I don't think he practices much anymore.
No, but he's still kicking.
Oh boy, you betcha.
Steve, give me one word that best describes Bill.
Belligerent.
Bellicose and belligerent, huh? He's a fighter, scrapper.
Oh.
He's unique.
You need a thesaurus?
No, this is public, so I got to keep it, PG. But there's a lot of words that describe Bill. He's a great mentor, a great friend. The people that he cares about, he truly cares about. He is a good role model. He's an excellent networker and understands the business of the courthouse better than anybody that I've ever met. And he's got a good word. When he tells you something, you know that it's the truth. And if he says he's going to do something, you know that it's the truth. And he tells you he's not going to do something, you better believe that too.
Bill, what has been how have you been able to balance family and the practice business? Obviously, you're extremely successful. You are an icon down here. So how did you balance that?
I got lucky. I married my grade school sweetheart, and she's been with me every step of the way. She helps us in the firm, and she's raised the children, especially when I was trying cases and jury trial after jury trial, and really wasn't there. And my kids are all lawyers in our firm now, except the one son, John's got a construction company, but he's also a lawyer. And that's their mom, and it's helped me all the way. And also tells me when I need to humble it up a little bit. So
stay humble and kind.
Well, be nice, she says. And you've seen those bumper stickers, be nice. It doesn't come to me naturally. I got to work at it. And, because I have to work at it. It's pretty simple. Osber keeps me to be nice too sometimes.
You want to see a soft spot. You see Bill listening to Ann, giving him some business about what he should and should not be doing.
You get full of yourself, and then you go in and you get humbled in the courtroom, and we get humbled every now and then. I mean, I got humbled when we hung that jury. I couldn't believe it. I don't remember all the cases I've won, but I damn sure remember every one I've lost.
Which one hurt the most?
I'll tell you, I represented a salt of the earth truck driver, and this numbskull woman ran into the side of his semi, and it was all chrome, flashy. I mean, how in the hell anybody could run into it? But she did, and I was so convinced that her negligence was overwhelming that we would win that case. And I even asked for a jury view, and he had his rig all shined up, and I'm telling you, that 50-foot trailer would light up the sky. It was so shiny. As trying to, in my mind, how anybody wouldn't see that. And damned if the jury, after being there for 6 hours or something, brought back a verdict against me. I lost that case. I should never have asked for a scene inspection. I mean, I was just positive that was the right thing to do. I mean, I don't remember how long, and the lawyers on the other side, I'm not going to mention who they are. I think they're gone now. I don't know. They beat me, but I got them back a bunch of years later in a case where I defended somebody where they were trying to set up a breach of statute of limitations, and they filed a legal malpractice case against a very prominent lawyer in a law firm, and they had set it up over to try to prove a blown statute of limitations. And so we tried that case to a jury, and we won it. And then the law firm hired me to go after them for the legal fees and costs, and I got every penny of it. So
sweet revenge.
Yeah, it was good.
Served cold.
It was good. It was good. And I wish I could tell you who all the people were, but I'm not going to, because some of them are still practicing law and they're very prominent. I was very proud of that. And then one of my cases about 10 years ago or 20 years ago, I learned not to be such a smart aleck with your clients sometimes. I try to use humor to keep a client from getting too nervous, and try to make them just be themselves. and a little lady got hit rear-ended by somebody, barely a tap. She rear-ended them, and he's telling me I'm talking too much. They can cut some of this down, but this is. I
Okay.
told him this is.
These
pretty,
are priceless
This
stories.
is pretty sweet. So she bumped the rear of this guy, and a little dent about like this, and he faked like he had a bad neck and back. This had to be
It was all
40,
baloney.
3 years ago. Absolutely. And I tried every one of those cases when I was representing insurance companies because I won, and I never lost them, I don't think, because juries are reasonable, and it's just unreasonable. But this little lady says to me, we're getting ready to try the case. And we made it go to trial, and she said, and it was so obvious, she said, I'm so nervous, this is my first trial. And I said, yeah, me too. And she goes, oh no. I said, no. I've had 50 of these. So anyway.
Steve, last question for you as we start wrapping this up. If there was a biopic made about Bill Scherer, what actor would portray him? Surprise question.
Yeah, the first one that comes to mind is George C. Scott.
Ooh, Patton.
I
like that.
He's got that way. I'm talking about Bill. Has got that way where he's got this hard, gruff exterior. He's intimidating to people that don't know him. People fear him that are opposed to him. And I guess I can identify George C. Scott with his role as Patton having the same personality that Bill does.
But
I
gooey,
would-
a
I
little
would-
bit gooey
He's-
on the inside.
Oh, he's gooey on the inside. You just got to get to that.
I would hope it would be Robert Duvall or Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh yeah, and Lonesome Dove.
Yeah.
That's my,
I love that.
that's my favorite movie. And anyway, but I appreciate that, Steve. Thank you.
Last question for you, sir. What advice would you give attorneys out there that hope to one day follow in your footsteps, have a successful 50-year career?
Just work hard. So if you are nervous, if you got the butterflies, get back and read that file. Work hard, and the harder you work, they may be able to outthink you, but they can't outwork. If they can't outwork you over the long haul, over 50 years, you're going to wind up way better because, a lot of times the people on the other side don't work as hard as you. And that's something that every lawyer can control, how hard they work, and know every single thing about the file, up one side and down the other, and the case and the clients, and try to immerse yourself in every bit of it. And then when the case is over, pull the plug, let the facts all drain out, put the plug back in it, and do it again on the next case.
Wash, rinse, and repeat.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Steve, thank you for being here. Appreciate
for
you
having
being
me.
here. Mr. Scherer, thank
Call
you
me
for
Bill.
your
Call me Bill.
service to our community. 50 years is a long time, and we're privileged to have had you here and still have you here in Broward County.
Thank you. Appreciate it.